All right. So everyone can see the window?
Mm-hmm.
Here.
And you should be able to hear it, correct?
Use bubble.
Yes.
All right.
Light engagement. Back. Lost her.
I'm raising claw.
It looks like bottom right. She's going. Yeah, she's going right side of the
Back to
circle.
blue. Back to blue. Back to blue. Push blue. Get server glob.
This half back there.
Oh.
On goes by her.
All right. So I actually missed the first thing I wanted to talk about here right at the beginning. So right here at the beginning, you lose your widow, which is kind of unlucky. It's not like they didn't change, so it just kind of happened. And this was a very good res because, so unfortunately, when you're playing like a widow v widow composition, I mean, basically both widows need to be alive, or else one team can exert more map control over another because there's no one else to really contest the widow from a long range. I mean, Hanzo can, but it's a bit tougher to land a headshot or something like that, or you have to invest resources to go ahead and dive her. So it's kind of important that in a widow duel, it's almost whoever's widow's better is almost you're going to tend to win team fights more often. So that's a good res there. It's good value. I mean, you're in a team fight. Obviously, they have the spawn advantage here, so it's early. It's a good res. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with using reses and stuff is getting value and looking to see if it's viable. Obviously, you don't want to res in an area that's going to put your team at high risk for another pick or something like that. So this is a good res. It keeps the fight even and allows you guys to be able to rotate back to blue box here and still be able to fight and contest with their widow.
Get server glob.
This half back there.
Oh.
On goes by her. Widow's healed now.
So this is really good. Like I've liked how Glob played this until you guys started to lose for the 3. Because I mean, if you see Monkey right now, Monkey's literally maybe 2 shots, 1 headshot away from being dead. And that's a really good setup. I liked how you played it first there because you see you're kind of zoning their team off. Their Mercy, their Hanzo, and their Winston are back here, and you're going to almost get the DMAC on the Diva, but she gets lucky and she's going to drop down and get healed by Harana. But this is kind of one of the reasons why it's important to have, or not important, but it's better to have a Widow in here, because if you're back over glass, only sightline right here really is on top of the island where the Hanzo is right now, or the blue box right where Diva is, so you can't really hit like something like a healer or a Mercy that you had, and you saw that Mercy had to drop back to protect herself. And if you do land some shots like that, you can be vocal here and say, hey, monkeys low, because that's completely diveable here.
Either low. Mercy's half. Hanzo half.
I'm with Monkey. Where are we on?
Monkey's 1.
And so like I said, you guys kind of did this to yourselves for the majority of this map. I mean, you all knew Diva was 1, you let Diva run away, Black Warrior goes to chase, and then you guys just stood up there and kind of botted out.
Hanzo half.
I'm with Monkey. Where are we on?
Monkey's 1. Golden.
Diva's on you.
Diva's 1.
And you eventually do get here and you get the Diva.
Another car.
Someone's going server, Glob. Someone's going server.
Yeah,
Top on server.
I got.
So that's kind of like, if you know someone's going server, if it's a 1v1 with a Hanzo, you can take it. Obviously, I trust you guys in the DPS duels and stuff like that. I mean, you need to be able to win fights like that. Obviously, you don't need to be insane and win every single fight, but majority of the time, you're controlling a flank there. If you really do feel the pressure, if you're on the stairs right there, you can actually grapple all the way to glass from right there, or up to blue box, safely away. So, if you feel you need to get out quick, you can get out. You don't need to like set up shop in there, for lack of a better word. But having your Widow there and your Hanzo or the rest of your team on blue box creates a very big cross, or a very good crossfire right here, because you basically, on Gibraltar on first point and watch point, no one fights really before bridge. And especially you never want to fight under bridge, because it's just such a bad place to fight, because you're usually fighting downhill if you do. And if they're trying to push card or anything like this, like if they have Ana or anything trying to push card, you have a Widow in server, and then you have the rest of your team up top to dive, so it's a very hard contest for them. They need to contest you at blue box or in server first before being able to move the payload.
I'll see you.
Get out with their glove.
I'm just dead.
Alright, reset high ground, reset blue box, reset blue box. He looks in. They servers above. Yes,
Back up a little.
call up their location.
Can you stop pushing me off with my
Hanzo's in this left corridor room
I'm
thing.
trying not to.
It's on the way in.
They belt, they belt,
Monkey's
they
still
belt.
behind us. Monkey jumping back up on blue box.
Weak counter belt.
Oh, Monkey's right next to me down here. He's jumping back up.
Right.
Can I walls?
Monkey.
Yes, no.
Half. Monkey one. Dead.
Monkey's dead.
One.
And this is kind of where we had that big discussion at the end of last scrim.
Next to me down here. He's jumping back up.
Right.
Can I walls?
Monkey.
Yes, no.
Half. Monkey one.
So, like, Glove asked if he can walls. So first off, walls isn't a fight-changing ultimate. It's not. I mean, it gives your Widow an advantage. I mean, if you're trying some kind of strategy, you can get a lot of information from it. If you're going into a team fight dry or something like that, you can get a really easy scouting report, something like that. But it's not an ultimate that needs to be used at a certain time, or there's a better time more than another. It's very discretionary, and if you're a decent Widow, you're going to get sights back pretty fast. I mean, even if you land a couple body shots, you're almost 25-30% there. And this is where I was kind of going towards at the end of the King's Row, where I was saying, like, it's good to have someone that can collect all the information and make plans formulated based on that, but in a situation like that, like, you shouldn't be asking to use walls or something like that. Does that make sense?
Alright, yeah.
And like, that's, I mean, use walls. It's walls, you know. It's not like you're saying, oh, I'm going to use Diva Bomb there, or Grav, full on knowing that they might have Transcendence or Diva DM up or something like that, you know. And that's kind of where, like, the communication and ult tracking comes into play, like, having that information out there for everyone to know, and Luna as well, too, is it avoids situations like that where it's, oh crap, do I ult? Should I ask? Stuff like that.
One. Dead.
Monkey's dead,
One.
monkey's dead.
Diva's
Diva's
coming
coming
to you,
after you,
Glob.
Glob. Diva's coming to you, Glob.
Yeah.
There's a Hanzo to the right.
I'm trying to help you with Diva Glob. She's one. Diva's one. Diva's one.
Diva's one, Diva's one, Diva's one.
Good job.
I can't believe. I cannot believe that hit the wall. I am so astoundingly angry at Jeff Kaplan.
Okay, reset high ground. Play box.
But by having this split, you're forcing them to either commit to your Widow, or if they do fight, then your Widow has free sights from the other side.
They have
Walls.
walls.
I am walls.
I played so passive.
Oh, I'm Beatles. Yes.
Diva's one. She's in the car. She is bomb up here. Dragging that.
Yeah.
Diva's dropping.
Yeah.
So this is where I was talking about when you get a little bit of frustrated Glove. I mean, your two supports died. That should be an immediate reset. Everyone should have kind of paid attention to the kill feed in that moment, and especially since both the supports are down, it should have been instant reset, reset, reset.
Support.
Diva's half.
Right,
And then you
no
lose
support.
Black Warrior, and this is where you get dove pretty hard.
You have no support there.
Who's on me?
What's going on?
Do you want me? Do you want me?
We're
Right there.
fucked. We need to regroup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back
we-
up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
And you saw no one called for a reset until you guys were staggered at this point, only had two alive. and you see what the payload is, you could have easily recontested it if someone had called the reset.
Hanzo's top left.
Hanzo's up top left.
Mercy's up with him.
Okay. We're not
Monkey's right here. We're getting prime mode in the room. Somebody else needs to touch.
I'm touching. No, I'm not. There's snipers.
I'm asleep.
Monkey's
Yeah.
down.
Okay.
Mercy won.
That's not winnable. If you get forward, go out left side.
But for a majority of that fight, I mean, you guys played it really, really well. I mean, you won almost every single team fight except for that last one, which it happens.
Yeah, they're taking control of.
And even then, playing that the way it did was pretty good because you didn't have the best communication either, which we all were more than aware of the other night.
Yeah, they used off, that's for sure.
Okay. We need to take back control of high ground. You're gonna get no support.
Widow's on the top right.
No, don't go up there.
How are we gonna take it then?
It was on breeze left.
So how we're going to take this question should have been asked earlier prior to the fight, and now things are kind of just extremely messy, which is just, again, like, gets back to
Widow's one back there.
the lack of the communication earlier in the night.
Getting monkeyed. Anna's one in the back.
Carter's half.
But, like, kind of at that point, when Black Warrior first said, I'm going to dive up there, like, I would never... I don't advocate for a blind dive like that, but in a situation like that where you need a how or a plan, I mean, you guys stood there at those two doors, honestly, and looked up there like a bunch of idiots and didn't do anything. You saw they moved that all for free. I mean, that's at that time someone needs to make a decision, and Black Warrior did, and it's better to support your main tank and go and all be wrong as 6 than to just do what they did, because Winston jumped up there. They had already picked Glob, and you were fighting a fight up there with Winston by himself, and it kind of just broke down from there. So it's better to just, like I said, it's not, you don't necessarily need to pick the best dive target or anything like that, but it's better to just commit to a dive and go with it and fight it out rather than just stand there and do nothing, for a lack of a better word. Because, I mean, every single one of your characters can get up there without any hesitation.
We have 5 old little
Probably everything now. Did they use anything last fight?
I don't think
Okay, they had everything.
so. Wait.
Good choices to just die there, honestly. Didn't stagger yourselves.
Widow's up top.
Yeah. Fight.
Hanzo's top right now. Hanzo's dead.
Okay. We can test
You're pressing him?
I'm this side.
Do this half. I'm getting monkeyed in the back. Help
It's
me.
prime lane.
Somebody please help me.
I'm trying. Didn't work.
And that's tough. I mean, if you're getting bullied by a primal Winston near an edge, it's...
So for all.
There's not much your team can do to help in that kind of situation.
I'm
Okay, I'm doing
fine.
this.
Did you say pause?
No, that was the VOD.
What was it? Okay.
I can't use in.
I'm
Okay, I'm doing
fine.
this.
Oh, this is where you all tabbed out or
Okay.
whatever.
Hanzo's
on
walking
Vivo.
Or
out.
someone did.
That's the door sonicked. Widow's still up top. I'll try to. Nice run. Monkey's low by you. Please heal me.
Monkey left side, monkey. You dived out. We're gonna dive on that Mercy in 3. You dived out.
I have no bubble. They're walking out.
We're backing out. Jump up on my head right
Okay. What? I'm so confused.
They're diving.
Monkey's coming out. Monkey's half.
I'm using this room.
So this will be more for Lynn in this situation. It's kind of a small micro thing, but I mean, if you notice, she was playing a ground Lucio for this
Okay.
whole area section, which I think she knows, and I know she's trying to work on, like we did in the custom game the other night, but she should be up there with you guys, especially in that situation right there where the monkey and the diva both dive you. A boop right there is huge.
Wait,
Monkeys, yield. Beavis half. I'm 1.
I
Nope,
can't.
lost 2.
I can't.
Hands up half.
I'm gonna try to get dragon.
Oh, when you have it.
They use walls.
Gonna primal inside. Dragoned it.
They're dragoning point. They're dragoning doors. They're dragoning doors. I'm ulting this.
You can go now. I missed the play. Success.
Throwing bottom.
Monkey's very low. Monkey's 1. To me.
Play low, Winston, play low.
Now Winston left side, Winston's left side, Focus, charge, change the target,
Nice.
baby diva on point, baby diva.
Get it down.
Now the Winston,
Monkey low. Monkey 1. He's stand out. Hanzo's above. I have to go try to push him.
Top right, 3, 2, 1.
Widow's up there too. Widow 1. Dead.
I'm playing point.
Hanzo point. 1.
Now we're gonna do the Winston, he ulted, actually
Just killed
switched
it.
to Mercy.
Mercy 1. Dead.
And I mean, I'm sure you guys could tell. I mean, this last couple fights here, I mean, your communication picked up a ton. Black Warrior was calling targets more consistently. You guys are putting a lot more information out there as a team, and as you can see, I think it's one of the biggest things that affects you guys in play like this is your communication and stuff. Because the first 2 maps, you kind of, like I said, you had kind of all not shut down, but you all got kind of quiet, not down on yourselves per se. And then like King's Row, like I would almost rather have communication that is overflowing or frustration than shutting down, because if you don't talk, then there's no plans, there's no ultra, there's none of that stuff. Which it's a team game. It's a 6v6. You have 6 sets of eyes and 6 sets of ears that all see and hear different things, audio cues, visual cues, and it's important to have all of those things out there for everyone to know. And it's something that I want to make sure that when we have going into Jane's Get Good, I want to make sure that this is almost second nature for you guys. That you don't have to think about it. No one has to remind you. It's just in between team fights. I want it to almost be to a point where Luna doesn't have to ask, what else do they use? What else do we have? Where everyone's just like, okay, they use this, this, and this, and we have this, and this is how we go into the next fight. That's kind of where I want to get to with that communication and everything like that. And the target calling, like I said, once we get that down to a very solid point, then we can go talk about picking the right dive target, recognizing a misplay and cooldown management, knowing an Ana doesn't have sleep dart. That's a great target to dive because she's not going to sleep the Winston jumping or anything like that. But like I said, for now, once we have the communication part of it down pat, then we can start going to the next layer of everything like that.
It's not me.
I'm still point. We'll have ults. Okay.
Now the tracer.
Done.
For the Winston.
So just have to talk that whole round, plans and call. Just focus on those comms. Stay positive and stuff like that. Focus on those comms.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be back.
About head go.
UIs.
Has someone call?
NA hosting.
I'll have that right space. And so team notices them, you, and use ground. So that you're picking up if you do have, because she could 3 of you guys were dead.
Says don't wait till you're deathbed.
Yeah, I'd say from the comm for Watchpoint. My guess is we're gonna play it about the same
Big
way you guys would. I mean, it's pretty. There's not
You
too
can
many
see all of
differences,
Kothar's
so knowing that you
DM,
can kind of
the
go off.
person who's
knowing
The
throwing
those
leaks.
rotations.
The leaks.
Huge leaks.
She was up here by herself. She's up here now.
I don't think I can handle leaks this big.
Remember, soft rotation. Soft. Nice.
Zen is half.
Winston's by himself. Winston.
First Winston, first Winston.
Jump behind.
He was one.
Up on the diva.
Winston low again.
Alright, come on,
He was
alright.
very low.
So one thing that you kind of do is, so you know you have one pick already, and you saw that 3 of you got purpled here.
First Winston, first Winston.
If 3 of you get purpled like
He was
that,
one.
especially for the healers, to notice it and call for like a stabilize or a drop down or something,
He was
because
very low.
all you're doing is you're going to take more damage. You're not going to be able to heal anything, so you're going to put a lot more pressures on your 2 healers in this situation. When the purple comes off, especially since if you saw Black Warrior dove back in still, and he's maybe 2 shots. Kothar was the first to get healed up, and now your Hanzo Panda is getting healed up again. So Black Warrior hasn't been able to get healed yet, just because of how much pressure was on your healers right there. So that's kind of a situation where the healers should recognize it. Luna and Izzy and or Tony, and they should call for like a stabilize or something there, just to drop down to a low ground, get around a corner, dive out, so that way you guys don't risk a pick, and you can stabilize again and then go back in.
He was getting healed.
There's a
Hanzo's up there too.
And this is where I was talking about specifically in the Scrim. We'll talk this. So your Glob just headshot their Ana. Their main healer's down. Their Zen is going to be extremely vulnerable. At this point in time, Osiris is probably their Widow's just getting back. Their Monkey and their Diva. Their Diva's 1 shot out of Mac, basically, if you landed a headshot. Monkey's maybe 2. And we're going to watch what happens.
down
Be
divas.
careful about it.
Obviously, you guys can't see this, but this is kind of the information that should be gathered during team fights, because knowing this information can help this sort of stuff. And paying attention to the kill feed can happen, so now you lose Glob, and I think this is where Luna calls for a reset.
Lost Glob.
Okay, just... Okay, back up.
So she says back up, back up, back up. Those aren't... I mean, they're 2 picks, but you have a res up, which Izzy probably should have called out to let your team know. I think you got lucky that bubble was already there.
Down
Be
divas.
careful about it. Lost Glob.
Okay, just...
But, I mean, for that first pick, losing Glob isn't the end of the world there, especially since you picked their Ana. So you guys are up in the sense that you can get more value out of the heroes you have. Because they can't nade you, they can't sleep you, they can't nano boost to save one of their tanks, and they can't pocket one of the tanks right now. And Zenyatta's orb only does 30 HP per second, which you can easily out DPS. No.
Okay, back up.
So yeah, you get lucky, the bubble's down, you get the res, which you should call out so your team knows, so that way if you need your Diva to defense matrix you or something like that, you can have it. If Black Warrior didn't have his bubble up, then he can place it for you. Looking for reses like that is always a great idea, especially in a situation like that, where you can get the more value knowing that their on is down. And that's kind of like where paying attention to the kill feed will help a lot, knowing who you have, pressing tab, knowing who's up, who's down. And I think if you had called the res, Luna maybe would not have called for a backup here, but you do, and their Diva's still 1 shot, and their Hanzo's now about half HP. I'm assuming the Harmony Orb right now is on Monkey. So you would put a lot of pressure on them, and you should have went back in this situation, especially since you guys have spawn advantage too.
Wait a little bit.
We have Valk, we have Dragon.
And you see you call for a reset and wait for
They probably have walls.
a Widow versus their Ana, which now their Ana's going to be back.
I'm still behind you guys.
Wait, this one was back?
I'm going back.
He's back.
Monkey's coming in.
I booked Monkey, no bubble.
I'm getting fucked.
We valve,
Monkey's
we
one.
valve. Careful,
Monkey's down.
Widow's top. Nice. Where are we on now? Heals on point. Pushing heals.
No,
We lost two. Can we even?
In this Ana is, like I said, great job sticking to the target here. Communication was 10 times better. But in that sort of situation there where you have that pick, and I guess I'll say this just because it's Ana, and specifically for Ana comps, is if you get a main tank or something like that down, you should probably be going for the Ana next, because you saw how hard pocketed that Diva just got by Ana, and 4 of you couldn't kill her. I mean, that's insane. Her Ana's healing is absolutely insane. I mean, you have 3 or 4 of you right there, and she's just getting hard. Well, she also has a Harmony Orb too. I mean, she was hard pocketed. Something. I mean, in a situation like that, if you know they're getting pocketed that hard, it's almost better to peel and go try and get another pick, because you're just wasting cooldowns and feeding their Ana ult charge and or Zenyatta at that point. Because if their Diva's there on point, their Zenyatta and their Ana are unprotected somewhere because the monkey's down already, which, like I said, gets more into micro and that next layer of knowing what the correct target is to call. But like I said, I'm more impressed with the fact that you had 6, or you had a majority of your team there and you stuck with the target and went for it. And then unlucky that she had Diva Bomb and she was able to use it to survive and remake.
We lost 2. Can we win this? So back up. Nice. But I don't think we can win this.
And that's a situation where you probably may have continued fighting because it was pretty even at that point, but that's just that's minor. It's nothing huge like the first fight where you picked an Ana and lost Glob, but instantly rezzed your Hanzo.
Back up. Don't.
Res it or
Why are we resing it?
do we? I don't know.
Why wouldn't
Okay.
we?
So that fight was lost already. I would not have res that. You're just gonna not waste a res there. I mean, it wouldn't have been the worst idea in the world either. I mean, you save 9 seconds on someone respawning, which, I mean, if you're paying attention to the clock and everything like that, once you get close, if there was like a minute left, probably would have been better to just res that. But when you res, you want to make sure you're getting value out of it because it has such a long cooldown. It's definitely a question you want to be asking whenever someone dies. Can I res this? Can I res this? Because it's not totally up to you. I mean, you need to be aware of a sight line of a Widow or something like that. But you asking that question, a Diva can DM you to get it. Your Winston can bubble you. There are a lot of options to help you get a res off. So it's definitely a question you should be asking all the time to see if someone has a cooldown available to help you get a res off. But in a situation like this where a fight's lost, everyone's basically respawned at this time, just wait the 9 seconds and save it going into this next last fight to maybe get a bigger res off that could affect or change the fight.
They have lost.
The dragon up.
Yeah, he probably has
in here.
play in the nice area.
Sure you said something push?
Yes.
Jumping up on the platform.
Dragon.
Dragging, he's right side. Jump on the Hanzo, right side.
There's one. There's literally one, thank you.
Now the Diva.
I'm down.
I'm
Pick
dragging
down
it.
the boards. Back out. Get out.
There's one. Try to get over the car.
We're coming up on Valve. We're coming up on Beat. We have both.
They're primaling in.
Oh, he really wants
They
to.
use Primal.
Yes.
No. He's coming after you.
That's right.
Monkey's still over here.
Yeah, you're healing.
A small micro thing, a fight lost that late in the game, you should just be killing yourselves at that point and resetting.
No one's
He's
there.
half. He's good.
No one in there.
Can we go help him?
I'm fine. He's out.
Because if you did get that, that's another 9 seconds with like 40 seconds on the clock, so that's almost a whole nother 10 seconds off of it just to regroup and push back in and then get to payload. Like I said, a very micro thing. I mean, that late in the game, something like that, if just die, reset. I mean, you want as much time as you can before this last fight.
Okay.
On the Zen. 3, 2, 1. Ulti.
And just because he chased you that hard, if he didn't primal or anything like that, and he was up, they still had the numbers, he could have been pocketed, and by you just trying to run away from him, you're kind of, if he's damaging you, you're almost feeding him ult charge too, so going into a last fight, they are going to have the upper hand most likely there, where if you just try and jump or reset off an edge, you're not going to feed him ult charge or anything like that. Like I said, it's a very micro thing, it's something to be aware of. Like if you notice it and you see it, just die, you know, the fight's lost. It's better to go in as 6, especially for this last fight, with as much time as you can.
Dun's still up here as well.
That's one.
Hanzo down. On his staff.
On his head. On his con.
He's one.
On his con.
We have to be on card. One card.
I got card.
Okay, you hold their top left and then
Go with them.
they might just be giving it.
Yeah, they're.
I can't believe I didn't notice this, or hopefully I yelled at someone for this, but Lucio, I don't care what the composition is, Lucio's never card pitch, ever. It's the worst thing in the world. Lucio is your speed, you're disengaged for this. I mean, Mercy would have been better, Widow would have been better, Hanzo would have even been better to push card here. I mean, Lucio is huge in the creating space if you're going to push up, because if you get in a sticky situation and for some reason they land some nasty headshot or something, or just something goes wrong, you can get the fuck out when you need to. If you don't have this, then you're screwed.
Just pay attention. So use the kill feed a lot more as a tool, because
What is
even
up
if you
here
lose
now?
one and they lose one, okay, I thought they were gonna straight.
They're not pushing it.
So if you have Lucio is never card pitch, ever.
They have
Oh,
walls.
sorry.
Careful. Inside. Diva's right. Diva's like.
Yeah, dudes are too. Right here.
So this next fight is kind of different because they gave the way it worked out in the scrims, they just kind of gave it up. So they basically said fuck it, let you guys push it there, and then set up on the high ground. In most instances, this probably isn't going to happen, where you will have all 6 of them staged and ready to dive on defense like this, unless they realized a fight was lost earlier, like sooner, like if you're an OT or something like that, and then they know the fight's lost right there, and they just get out to reset to prevent themselves from staggering. But in more instances or not, they're not going to have a time to set up for a perfect 6-person dive when you cap a point like that, which is normally, the point where you would push forward to try and create space, which they did to you guys when they took first point.
Hold on.
Glop, you need.
Winston's one, thank you.
Let's see.
Diva's up in spaceship.
Is that okay? Baby's half.
Camping heals.
And so, with Spaceship, so the reason you control Blue Box and Spaceship in these is because they are very, very, very strong high grounds. You basically have the best line of sights from them, and you can dive about anywhere on the map on these two. So you don't necessarily need to control it when you're pushing the payload. If you have someone on payload, it's moving, and you're up there contesting it, that's fine. You don't need to commit all of your resources up there. You want to just almost put pressure up there, so that way they can't dive you guys. So when you're going to fight high ground like this, you don't necessarily need to commit all your resources to win a fight up there. I mean, it's more of making sure that they can't dive you freely or have that space uncontrolled, uncontested, especially where the cart is almost protected for the whole right side of this from Spaceship. They can't really get cleaved from a Winston or anything like that. So you don't need to go and fight 6v6 up there necessarily. You can kind of just go up there, put pressure so that way they don't dive you, and then drop back down and kind of feel it out. I mean, there's a lot of fights on Watchpoint Gibraltar that'll last the full 4 minutes and stuff like that. Like, if I've seen some Overwatch League games where literally their fights will last 2 to 3 minutes of a solid fight, just because of how the high ground is on this, and no one really wins a fight outright just because of that fact, and that you don't need to
What is behind?
necessarily control it. Obviously, you have control, you're at the advantage, but you don't need to commit all the resources to win a team fight up there. Because if you see the cart's still moving, and you're about to cap
Camping
it.
heals.
Both dead.
Zen on point.
Got 3.
You can win this.
You just want to be able
Hey,
to put
Coach, I have a
pressure.
question.
Oh, hello.
Am I supposed to be seeing arrows?
No.
Drawings?
No, we're gonna have to do some more in-depth research into that, because evidently we're all Big Dum Dum, or I'm Big Dum Dum.
Okay.
Yeah, we tried.
Yes,
Alright.
we tried and we tried, but hey, I didn't know you jumped in. Thank you for joining.
Holy
It's
shit.
fine.
Monkeys.
What's in Devo? They use dragons?
You hear me?
We're
Get out,
over.
get out, get out, get out. Get out, don't go in.
They use anything else?
They use dragons.
Bomb.
Oh, I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna die. Thank you. Okay.
I'm gonna dive on that widow. Oh, actually, Hanzo, left side in 3, 2, 1. Hanzo.
You just have.
I got point.
He doesn't know.
Oh my god. No.
Good job, Luna.
Okay. Well,
What is in bubble?
Wait for 6. Wait for 6.
he's up top right.
More of a micro thing for Black Warrior, but there's no need for bubble there. I mean, they're not putting pressure on you. There's no cooldowns to be blocked. Save it for something more important.
11 seconds to bubble.
Okay.
Monkey's up there too.
Because now you don't have it for the next dive, so they have the advantage in that, and you can't block any cooldowns unless Diva commits all of her DM to it.
Good job,
One's
Rob.
left. Widow's.
So one thing that bubble is more so used for is it's not used as like a... You can't really use it as a Reinhardt shield to block a lot of damage. You more so use it to block cooldowns like an On a Sleep Dart, an On a Nade, Diva Rockets, a Storm Arrow, something like that, because it is pretty easy to break. So if you just place it like that, they're just going to spam it and break it. So you want to use it more to block a cooldown or something like that. Or if you dive in, it's almost better to delay it for a couple seconds until the enemy starts committing cooldowns and then use it. Unless you're trying to like single out a Hanzo or something like that, and you can kind of use it at your own discretion to get a pick. But in a team situation like that, it's almost a waste to just place it on card, because now they can dive you guys and they can use cooldowns more freely because you don't have bubble.
If on that, we're gonna jump on that widow right side. 3, 2, 1. Slap.
Monkeys. Oh, okay.
Jump down.
Monkeys half.
Winston. He's behind.
Yep. Monkey's mirrored
Monkeys
now.
half still.
Back out.
Monkeys. Oh.
And I mean, I'm sure you guys can see their monkey did a really good job here of zoning you guys off, because your two tanks go off to the right and your monkey's harassing your DPS and your Mercy.
Monkeys. Oh, okay.
Jump down.
Monkeys half.
Winston is behind.
Yep. Monkey's mirrored now.
Monkeys half still.
Back up.
And I'm sure you guys know this, but that's like, I'd rather the overflow of information you three screaming about monkey behind, because Black Warrior might not have made the decision to go and jump the other two, because I believe the monkey jumps there before he calls that out. Yeah, because he doesn't, I don't think he knows that that monkey jump or dove you guys.
11 seconds to bubble.
Okay.
Monkey's up there too. Good job,
Monkey's
Rob.
left.
We're
Widow's.
gonna jump on that. We're gonna jump on that widow right side.
So yeah, like this is where I say I'd almost have, I would rather you three over there be screaming monkey, 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 and have him know that information, because you kind of say it once and he's like, all right, I'm going to go top right in 3, 2, and that's where I say you have 6 sets of eyes, 6 sets of ears to put all this information out there, and I'd rather have an overflow of information like that, because I think it'll help you guys make an easier decision, or help you all commit to one thing or another better as a team, because you guys get kind of split here, and I think that's obviously not good.
3, 2, 1. Slap.
Monkeys.
And
oh.
Lucio can't really solo heal 2 tanks.
Monkeys half.
Winston is behind.
Yep. Monkey's mirrored now.
Monkeys half still.
Back up.
Monkey's one. Monkey's one.
He's half. Is he
He is
Diva?
definitely one.
He's not. Definitely, absolutely not. Not even anywhere close to one. I don't know how you got that idea.
Alright, I'm gonna try to find an angle on this end. I don't know.
He was sort of one.
Seems like
Full left bridge.
So if we're gonna solve, if we want to, this tonight's episode on unsolved mysteries,
He's fine.
He is definitely one.
Monkey is definitely one.
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Not even anywhere close to that. I don't know how you got that idea.
Alright, I'm gonna try to find an angle on this end. I don't know.
Full left bridge, probably.
What else do they have? Let's engage this with Valve. This is and go ground. They have trans, so yes, focus that then so we can see if we can get that out. If you want to take this control over here,
Top left.
top left, and do
He's
what.
jumping.
Well, this monkey's jumping right now. We can go monkey.
Monkey, he ulted.
Okay. It's
Give
not
us here.
good
Give us
enough.
here. Here.
And that's great. I mean, that's one of the things you can recognize. Monkey jumped. He can't get out. He bubbled. You guys have the advantage there. It's good to jump on him. I'm assuming the only reason he jumped in is because he had primal, and he knew if he needed an escape or to survive, he could. But still, it's a good to recognize that and take advantage of a cooldown when an enemy commits a cooldown like that.
Well, let's try this.
I'm gonna dive on that Zen. What's it? He dived out. He got nanos. Diva on the ground. Diva behind. Diva. He dived out.
Break one more.
Yeah, Hanzo.
Bottom point.
No widow?
Hanzo's one. Not one.
Yeah, like I said, I think overall, and I'm sure you guys know this, is when your communication is on and is good, you guys play amazing. It's almost night and day. And the reason I have made it such a point to reiterate it over and over again is, I explained earlier, is it should almost be second nature. Like, you should almost not uselessly be yelling information out there, but having all that information helps people make decisions better. And it helps in situations like that where you don't get split when the monkey jumped and was harassing the widow and your mercy. Having all that information out in the open is so much better than having nothing out there, because then your team, Black Warrior, might not know what to do because he can't see over there. It's that left. He was over on the right side of the payload looking up to get a dive, so he has no idea what's going on to the left of him. And it's not bad to I say micro, but it's not bad to micro other people in a game in that sort of situation like that. When I play, I ask for micros, especially as a main tank, because you can't always see what's going on behind you. Like I said, there are 6 sets of eyes and ears that see different things and hear different things, so it's good to have all that information out there. And you guys did amazing, which I was super happy with in the tournament, is you guys did amazing all in every single one of those games, and even against the bread getters. I mean, they were very close games. I don't think 3-1 showed how close it actually was. It's because your communication was awesome, and when your communication's awesome, you guys play 10 times better, and it enables you guys to be more aggressive and do more just because of that. I did go over some micro things here and there in VOD reviews and stuff like that, but a lot of those micro things I think will be fixed with having solid communication. Like I said earlier, Luna, I want to get to a point where in between fights you don't have to ask the question of what else do we have, what else do they have. I want to get to a point where kind of everyone realizes or has their counterparts alt tracking, and they say, oh, well, they use this, and everyone kind of just jumps in and puts all the information out there, so that way you yourself don't have to be thinking about all of that, and you can be making the plan because everyone's helping you, giving you that information.
Right.
And that way you don't have to think as much as yourself, and now you've thought about all the alts and everything, and now you don't really, and now you guys are walking out because you want to waste time. And it's not the worst thing in the world.
Mid-fight.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the worst thing in the world to take an extra 5 seconds to regroup and make sure you have a plan for the next fight rather than go into it and start asking, oh shit, should we use this ult, or fuck, they have trans, what do we do now? We just use Nanoblade. So yeah, and that's kind of where the point I want to get to with comms is all 6 of you are putting information out there so that way your shot caller, Luna, can take all that information in and put it back out into a logical thought of action for you guys rather than having to ask questions and stuff in between fights or get split like that and not have 3 people know. I mean, like you said, you did call it, oh, Monkey jumped here once, but Black Warrior was too focused on the target call. And it's not, you don't have to yell at him, but I mean, you're a shot caller, you're in a team setting, it's, you know, speak up, you know, it's not, it's a team sport. I mean, when you listen to communication on team sports and ice, I mean, it almost sounds like they're yelling, you know. There's a lot of information out there, and sometimes you need to be heard. I mean, if you listen to a GM team in a team setting like this, some of them are very, very, very flooded. Like, some of them you can't even determine what other people are saying, which I don't think you guys will have a problem with, and I think on King's Row you did amazing. The second half of King's Row you did amazing on. The first half started off very memey, but you reeled it in, and you guys did great on it.
I think that was us, mostly Is and I, finding in this frustration for the immunity. Everywhere else. But
And it's going to happen. There's going to be frustrating nights. There are going to be days where you have a shitty day at work, and it carries over. I mean, stuff like that happens. You know, it sucks, and we have to find avenues is the right way to put this, but we need to realize that we're all here to support each other. We're not judging each other. We're not going to make fun of you because you made a bad move or something like that. It's, you know, although we do all take this serious, we commit each of our times every week to be able to do this stuff and participate in tournaments and Janes Get Good coming up, you know, it also needs to be fun for you guys, and you need to realize that it's not the end of the world. There are going to be days like this where you have bad games and you have off days. It happens to everyone. It happens to professionals in professional sports, and you kind of just need to move on and go to the next game, go to the next scrim, go to the next day, whatever. And that's kind of, like I said, that's what VOD reviews are for and stuff like that. It's not good to make mistakes, but that's how you learn. That's how you get better, and you have to be okay with that sometimes. Not everyone's going to have a perfect day. You're not going to land all your shots. You're not going to be fragging out as much, you know. And a lot of the communication and this stuff, as we practice more and compete more, a lot of it will become more consistent. And obviously, with consistency, you'll notice that those bad days don't happen as often. More far a few between, because you guys are consistent, and having a positive attitude sometimes, even if you aren't playing the best, can influence the rest of the team, and help you guys just in general, because sometimes when you, as a person, when you know, not shut down, but if you can kind of, everyone knows, especially you guys know better, you've been together longer, you kind of know when someone's not in the best mood or isn't feeling the best, and it can not bring others down, but they kind of are aware of it. So it's good to be able to support each other and, you know, help each other through it, which you guys really came together at the end of King's Row and did, which I was really happy to see, because my whole thing on Temple of Anubis, when I threw that one comp at you guys, like, none of you know what to do. You all shut down, you all didn't talk, and I was kind of like, not but I was like, that's not good, because you guys should be able to rally from something like that, and you should all enjoy each other's company and everything like that, and no things like that, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of my tangent. And it's been about an hour, so if anyone has any questions or anything specifically they would like to ask.
I have nothing.
Wait, you're still on the team, Cody?
What?
I assumed after today's controversy he was kicked off.
Unfortunate. I am. Fortunate for you, Glob.
Should we be concerned about something?
Look,
Nope.
Juice.
he put
Everything good.
put water in his Lucio O's, and it made
Oh.
me very upset.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think Coach or I will. Ow! Yoshi!
Hey,
I
OG liked and retweeted my tweet, so I think that was worth it.
Okay.
I'm famous now.
He's nipping at me.
My most popular tweet is now that one. Bork.
The OGE.
Did you eat a cereal?
Yes, I ate
He
this.
took a
cereal.
bite,
Did
yeah.
you watch the video? Watch the video.
It's kinda
just
funny.
got home literally when I DM.
Pinning it to my profile is my most liked thing, I'm pretty sure.
How did it taste?
It tasted like water with cereal in it.
What type of cereal?
Pretty spot on.
Lucio-O's.
It was
It's vanilla.
Lucio.
Vanilla?
Yes, they're vanilla flavored.
That's weird.
I wonder why they determined
Maybe
that.
like
That seems a little
Apple Packs
odd.
or something. Okay, my
Uh-huh.
dog is yelling at me. So I came for the last bit, but I have to go.
No
I
worries,
will
it's
watch.
recorded. I'll post it in over lore.
Okay. Did you get my DM about Alex?
So I'll just. So when did he DM you?
I screenshot us there. 8:50. So
Alright, whatever. That's fine then, because. Whatever. He DM'd you, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So
Yeah,
I can't complain.
Side, so.
He asked for it to be recorded and to be posted, so not too worried about this. So at least he did. That's all.
My dog is literally nipping at me, so I have to go.
Good luck.
Alright. Good night, Luna.
Don't get eaten.
Good night. Thank you. Sorry.
night.
I'm late.